Welcome to my channel, my friends. Let me ask you something very important. Can you understand English when you watch movies, listen to songs, or even follow your favorite YouTubers? But when it's time to open your mouth and speak, nothing comes out? Maybe your brain feels full of English words, but your tongue refuses to move. Maybe you want to say something simple, but your mind suddenly goes blank. You know the meaning, but you cannot say it. Does that sound like you? Don't worry, you are not alone. Millions of learners around the world have the same problem. They understand English, but they cannot speak it. Why does this happen? And more important, how can we fix it? Stay with me until the very end, because today I will show you the real reasons why speaking feels so hard, and together we will unlock the secret to finally using your English voice. Chapter 1. The big difference between understanding and speaking. My friends, let's begin with something very important. Understanding English and speaking English are not the same thing. They look similar, they sound similar, but in reality, they are two very different skills. When you understand, you are passive. That means you are quiet. You are sitting, you are listening, or you are reading. Your brain is only receiving information. You don't need to do anything. You just need to know the meaning. But when you speak, everything changes. Speaking is active. It is your turn to give, not just to receive. You need to find the words, put them together, think of the correct sounds, and say them out loud. You must do it quickly, in real time, in front of another person. That's why speaking is much harder than just understanding. Think about this. Many English learners say, "I can understand movies. I can understand my teacher. I can read books. But when I try to speak, my mouth doesn't move." Why? Because they have only practiced input. Input means listening and reading. You hear English, you read English, you understand English. But what about output? Output means speaking and writing. And here is the truth. Most learners spend 90% of their time on input and only 10% or maybe even 0% on output. They listen, they read, they watch videos, but they never open their mouth to speak. So, of course, when it is time to speak, it feels strange, it feels scary, and it feels impossible. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine you love swimming. You watch swimming videos on YouTube every day. You know all the techniques. You know how to move your arms, how to breathe, how to kick your legs. You watch hundreds of hours of Olympic swimmers. You can explain every detail of swimming to your friends. But here is the question. Can you swim? The answer is no, because you never entered the pool. You only watched. The moment you jump into the water, you will panic. Your body does not know what to do. You might even sink. This is the exact same situation with English. Watching movies, listening to podcasts, or reading books is like watching swimming videos. It gives you knowledge, but it does not give you skill. Speaking is like swimming in the water. If you don't practice inside the water, you will never swim. Now let me ask you, my friends, have you ever had this experience? You watch an English movie and you understand 70%, maybe 80%. You feel happy. You feel proud. But then someone asks you a simple question in English like, "How was your day?" And suddenly you cannot answer. Your brain knows the words, but they do not come out. Why? Because watching the movie was passive. You were relaxed. You were just receiving. But answering the question is active. You must create the words yourself. You must push them out. That is a completely different skill, and it needs a completely different kind of practice. Here is another everyday example. Imagine you learn cooking from YouTube. You watch hundreds of cooking videos. You know how to cut vegetables, how to cook rice, how to prepare pasta. You know every recipe by heart. But the truth is, if you never entered the kitchen, you cannot cook. You only know the theory, not the practice. The first time you try, the rice will burn, the pasta will stick, and you will feel frustrated. It is the same with English speaking. You cannot only watch, you must do. You must use your voice. And here comes the big spike moment I want you to remember. Listening and reading will never make you a speaker. Let me repeat that because it is very important. Listening and reading will never make you a speaker. They will only make you a listener and a reader. If you want to be a speaker, you must speak. It sounds simple, but most learners forget this truth. They spend years reading grammar books, watching YouTube, and listening to podcasts. Then they wonder, why can't I speak? The answer is clear. They never practiced speaking. So, my friend, I want you to think of English like a sport. Reading about football will not make you a football player. Watching Cristiano Ronaldo will not make you play like him. To be a player, you must run on the field. You must kick the ball. You must sweat. The same with dancing. You can watch dance videos all night, but your body will not dance. To dance, you must stand up, move your legs, and practice. English speaking is exactly like that. It is not enough to know in your head. You must practice with your mouth. Now maybe you are asking, but Tom, I already listen a lot. Isn't that enough? Listening is good. Listening is necessary. But listening is not speaking. They are two sides of the same coin, but you cannot replace one with the other. Think of it like this. Listening is food for your brain. It gives you the words, the grammar, the rhythm of English. But speaking is the exercise. It uses the food, it makes your muscles strong. If you only eat and never exercise, your body will not be strong. If you only listen and never speak, your English voice will not grow. This is the big difference I want you to understand. Understanding English is passive, speaking English is active. And this difference explains why so many learners understand a lot, but cannot speak. They never trained the active skill. They never practiced opening their mouth. They only watched, but they never jumped into the water. That is why they feel stuck. So here is the lesson of Chapter 1. If you want to speak English, you must practice speaking. You cannot only listen, you cannot only read, you cannot only watch. You must use your voice, and the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Don't worry if it feels hard in the beginning. Don't worry if you make mistakes. That is part of the journey. What matters is that you open your mouth, you use your English, and you practice the active side, not just the passive side. Chapter 2. Why your brain freezes. When you try to speak. My friends, let's talk about something that every English learner knows very well. The brain freeze. You know what I mean. You are in a situation where you need to speak English. Maybe a teacher asks you a question. Maybe a friend says something in English. Maybe you are in a shop or on a call. You understand the words. You know the answer in your head. But when you try to speak, your brain goes blank. You want to say something, but nothing comes out. Your mouth stays closed. You feel nervous, you feel embarrassed, and later you think, why did this happen? I knew the words. This happens because of one big reason. Your brain is trying to translate. Most learners think in their own language first. Then they try to change the words into English. This takes time, and it is very slow. By the time you find the right word, the conversation has already moved on. You miss the moment, you stay silent, and you feel stuck. Let's try a small experiment together to feel this problem. Imagine your native language is Urdu, Spanish, Arabic, or Chinese. I will say a simple sentence in your language. Aaj main bazaar gaya. Now translate it quickly into English. Did you feel that moment of hesitation? Your brain had to stop, look for words, and then say, oh yes, that means I went to the market today. You see how slow it feels? And that was only one very simple sentence. Imagine if you need to talk about your work, your feelings, or your dreams. Translating everything in your head makes speaking almost impossible. Here's the spike moment I want you to really feel. Imagine you are in a real conversation. Someone asks you in English, "So, what did you do yesterday?" Your brain starts in your native language. Kal mein dosto ke sath restaurant gaya. Now you try to change it into English. Yesterday, with friends, restaurant, go. But the other person is still waiting. You feel pressure. You get nervous. And suddenly your brain is empty. Silence. That's the blank mind. Not because you don't know English, but because your brain is busy translating and it cannot keep up with the speed of the conversation. This is why I always say, fluency is not only about knowledge. Fluency is speed plus comfort. Fluency means you can find the words fast and say them without stress. Fluency means your brain does not need to stop and translate. Fluency means you can think in English directly. The problem is not that you don't know English. The problem is that you have not practiced using English in real time. You have knowledge, but you don't have speed. You have grammar in your head, but you don't have comfort in your mouth. Let me give you another example. Imagine you are driving a car for the first time. You know all the rules. You know the brake, the accelerator, the clutch, the steering. But the first time you drive, your brain freezes. You think too much. You ask yourself, which pedal, which gear, which signal? And suddenly you feel nervous. But after many hours of practice, something amazing happens. You don't think anymore. Your hands and feet move automatically. You see a red light. Your foot goes to the brake without thinking. That is fluency in driving. And it is the same in English. At first, you think too much and your brain freezes. But with practice, English becomes automatic. Here is the key. The more you translate, the slower you become. The more you try to build sentences word by word in your head, the more mistakes you will make and the more nervous you will feel. That is why we must train ourselves to stop translating and start thinking in English. Now maybe you are asking, but Tom, how can I think in English if my brain is used to my first language? Good question, my friend. The answer is simple. You must practice speaking in small, easy ways every day. You don't need perfect sentences. You don't need long conversations. You just need to practice saying what you see, what you do, what you feel in English. For example, instead of thinking, main coffee bana rahahun, and then translating, you just say, I'm making coffee. You see the action, and you say it in English directly. Here is another powerful trick. Learn full phrases, not single words. Because phrases are ready in your brain, you don't need to translate. For example, if you want to say, mujhe pata nahi, you don't stop and think word by word. You just say, I don't know. Simple, fast, and clear. That's fluency. The more chunks you learn, the less you translate, and the faster you speak. So remember this. Your brain freezes not because you are bad at English, but because you are using the wrong method. You are still trying to translate everything. Translation is slow, but real conversations are fast. To win this race, you must train your brain to run in English, not in your first language. My friends, here is the truth. You already have enough words. You already know enough grammar. What you need now is practice with speed and comfort. You must give your brain the chance to think in English, not just understand it. The more you do this, the less you will freeze, and the more confident you will feel. And that is when your English will truly come alive. Chapter 3. The Fear of Mistakes and How It Silences You. My friends, let us talk about one of the biggest walls that stops people from speaking English. The fear of mistakes. Maybe you know this feeling. You want to say something, but before the words leave your mouth, your brain says, wait, what if I say it wrong? What if my grammar is broken? What if people laugh at me? What if I sound stupid? And so, instead of speaking, you stay quiet. This happens to millions of learners. You are not alone. But here is the truth. Silence is the biggest mistake of all. Because silence means no practice, and no practice means no progress. Think about it. When you were a child, learning your first language, you made mistakes all the time. Every child says things that sound funny, wrong, or incomplete. Maybe a child says, I go to the park instead of I went to the park. Do the parents laugh at the child in a cruel way? No, they smile. They understand. The mistake is not a problem. It is a step forward. Without that mistake, the child could never learn the right way. The same rule is true for you, even as an adult learning English. Mistakes are not proof of failure. They are proof that you are learning, trying, and moving forward. Let's make this more fun with some examples. Imagine you say, yesterday I go park. Grammatically, it is wrong. The correct sentence is, yesterday I went to the park. But guess what? Everyone still understands you. Your meaning is clear. If your friend hears, yesterday I go park, they will not be confused. They will know you are talking about yesterday, about you, and about the park. You communicated. And that is the purpose of language, to communicate, not to be perfect. So if you speak with mistakes but people understand you, you are already winning. Now, here comes the spike moment. Imagine if you refused to speak because you were afraid of mistakes. You stay silent while others are talking. You wait, you think, you translate in your mind, but the chance disappears. The conversation moves on without you. Which situation is better? Saying, yesterday I go park, and being understood, or saying nothing and being invisible? The answer is clear. Fluent with mistakes is always better than silent with grammar, because silence never teaches you anything, but mistakes teach you everything. Here is something powerful to remember. Even native English speakers make mistakes every single day. Listen carefully to conversations on the street. People start a sentence, then stop and restart. They say, "I seen it," instead of "I saw it." They forget words. They mispronounce things. But do they stop speaking? No. They keep going. Why? Because communication matters more than perfection. So why should you, as a learner, expect yourself to be perfect? If even native speakers are not perfect, then you are free to relax, make mistakes, and still be a successful communicator. Let's talk about pronunciation, because this is another area where fear controls learners. Maybe you are afraid your accent is too strong. Maybe you think people will laugh at the way you say vegetable or comfortable. But here's the truth. Accents are beautiful. They show your history, your culture, your journey. Nobody laughs at a French accent when speaking English. Nobody laughs at a Spanish accent or an Indian accent or a Japanese accent. People respect the courage it takes to speak in a second language. So if your pronunciation is not perfect, remember, perfect pronunciation is not the goal. Clear communication is the goal. If people understand you, you are already successful. Here is a small exercise I want you to imagine. Say out loud the sentence, "My English is not perfect, but I speak anyway." Repeat it. Feel the power of those words. This sentence is your shield against fear. It reminds you that mistakes are not shameful. They are brave. They mean you opened your mouth and tried, when many people stay quiet forever. Every mistake is a seed. The more seeds you plant, the more flowers of fluency will grow in the future. I also want you to laugh at your mistakes. Yes, laugh. Make it light. If you say, "I eated pizza yesterday," don't panic, don't freeze. Smile and say, "Oops, I ate pizza yesterday." That little correction, that little laugh, is how you grow. It is not the end of the world. In fact, it makes you stronger, because you notice your mistake, fix it, and move forward. The people listening will not judge you. They will respect you. They will probably smile back and enjoy the conversation even more. Think of English like music. When you first play guitar, your fingers are clumsy. The strings sound wrong. But every wrong note is part of the learning process. Slowly, your fingers learn the movement, and one day, the music flows. Speaking English is the same. Every mistake is a note in your practice song. Without wrong notes, there can be no beautiful song later. So, my friends, the lesson of this chapter is simple but powerful. Do not fear mistakes. Do not let them silence you. Remember the principle. Fluent with mistakes is better than silent with grammar. If you open your mouth and speak, you are brave. You are learning. You are winning. Every mistake is a step on the road to fluency. And one day, you will look back, and those mistakes will not feel like failures. They will feel like old friends who helped you grow. Your English voice is waiting for you. Do not let fear close your mouth. Speak, even with mistakes. That is the only way forward. Chapter 4. Why you must train your mouth, not just your brain. When most people think about learning English, they imagine their brain doing all the hard work. They picture memorizing vocabulary lists, understanding grammar rules, and watching lessons online. And yes, your brain is very important in the learning process. But here's the hidden truth that many learners forget. Your mouth, your tongue, and even your lips need training too. Speaking is not only a mental activity, it is also a physical one. You are using muscles every single time you form words, and like any other muscle in your body, they need practice to move smoothly and naturally. Think of it like football. If you want to become good at football, do you sit on the couch and read about the rules of the game all day? Of course not. You actually go out to the field, you kick the ball, you run, you sweat, you make mistakes, and slowly your body learns how to play better. The same is true for playing guitar. You can watch videos of guitarists, you can study the notes, you can even imagine yourself playing. But until your fingers actually touch the strings, until your hands make mistakes and learn the movement, you will never really be able to play. This is exactly what happens with English speaking. Many learners keep everything inside their head. They watch movies, they listen to podcasts, they read books, and they feel proud because they can understand. But then, when it's time to talk, their mouth feels heavy. The tongue doesn't know where to go, the lips don't open correctly, and the sound feels strange. This is not because you are bad at English. It's simply because your speaking muscles are weak. They have not been trained enough. Here is the big secret. You cannot think your way into fluency. You must speak your way into fluency. Your mouth must move. Your tongue must twist. Your voice must come out even if it sounds broken at first. If you don't train these muscles, they will never cooperate with your brain. Let's try something right now. I want you to repeat after me out loud wherever you are. Don't just think the words, say them. Ready? Repeat. I can speak English. Again, louder. I can speak English. One more time. I can speak English every day. Did you feel it? Speaking aloud is completely different than silently thinking in your head. Your mouth has to shape the sounds. Your tongue has to move quickly. Your voice has to match the rhythm. This is the real training you need. Shadowing is one of the best methods for this. Shadowing means you listen to a native speaker and you immediately repeat what they say, almost like an echo. Don't wait to understand every single word. Just copy the sound, the rhythm, the music of the sentence. At first it feels difficult, maybe even impossible. But after days and weeks, your tongue begins to copy automatically. You are not only training your brain, you are training your speaking muscles to act fast and without hesitation. Another powerful method is self-talk. This means you talk to yourself in English during the day. It can be very simple. I am cooking rice. I am going to the store. I feel happy today. You don't need anyone else. You can practice in your room, in front of a mirror, even in your head. But always try to make your mouth move. The more your lips and tongue practice these simple sentences, the easier it becomes when you talk to other people. And let's not forget daily speaking habits. Just like brushing your teeth, you should speak English every day. Even 5 minutes is better than nothing. Imagine you want to get strong muscles in the gym. Would you go once a month and lift heavy weights? No, that doesn't work. You go a little bit every day. Slowly, your body changes. In the same way, your speaking muscles need daily exercise. Here's a spike moment. Think of swimming. If you only watch videos of swimming on YouTube, you will understand the technique. But the moment you jump in the water, you will sink. Why? Because your body is not trained. English speaking is the same. If you only watch and listen, you will sink the moment someone asks you a question. But if you train your mouth daily, little by little, you will float and finally swim with confidence. So remember this golden rule. Your brain learns English, but your mouth performs it. If you want to perform well, you must practice with your voice, not only your eyes and ears. Shadowing, self-talk, and daily speaking will slowly give you a new power. It won't happen in one day, but each time you open your mouth, you are building the muscles of fluency. Don't be afraid if you sound strange at first. Don't worry if your words come slowly. Every athlete looks awkward the first time they play. Every musician plays wrong notes in the beginning. And every English learner sounds broken in the start. That's okay. Broken English today is better than no English forever. Speak, practice, repeat, and your mouth will soon become your strongest tool. Chapter 5. The Power of Chunks, Not Words. When most learners study English, they often focus on single words. They make lists of vocabulary: apple, table, walk, quickly, idea, busy. Of course, knowing words is important, but when you only learn words, you face a big problem. You pause too much when speaking because you must build every sentence word by word, like putting bricks together one at a time. This takes time, and it makes your speech slow, broken, and sometimes confusing. The secret to speaking naturally and fast is not in words, it is in chunks. Chunks are small groups of words that native speakers always use together. They are ready-made pieces of language that you can just take and use without creating a new sentence from zero. Think of it like food. Imagine you want to eat something. You can buy flour, sugar, eggs, and butter, then spend time mixing and baking. That is like trying to make a sentence word by word. But if you go to the store and buy a ready-made cake, you can eat it immediately. That is like using chunks. Chunks are pre-made language cakes, delicious, simple, and ready to use. Let me give you a clear example. If you know the single word busy, you might want to tell someone you cannot meet today. Your brain starts building slowly. I am busy now. It sounds okay, but it feels unnatural and maybe too short. But if you know the chunk, I'm a bit busy right now, you can say it smoothly, with confidence. See the difference? One is only a word. The other is a full expression that feels alive. Here's another one. Imagine someone tells you their plan and you like it. If you only know the word good, you might say, good, yes. That works, but it feels strange. But if you have the chunk, that's a good idea, suddenly your English sounds natural, friendly, and complete. One chunk can change everything. This is the power of chunks. They help you speak fast, naturally, and with less stress. You don't stop to think about grammar because the grammar is already inside the chunk. For example, if you know the chunk, can I help you? You don't need to worry about why it is can I and not I can. You just use it. The grammar is automatic because the chunk is automatic. Now let's have a little spike moment. Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You are at a swimming pool. You want to swim across. If you only know single words, it's like having to build the pool step by step as you are swimming. Very hard, almost impossible. But if you have chunks, it's like the pool is already ready. You just swim smoothly across. That's why chunks are a powerful tool for fluency. Let's try some everyday chunks together. Repeat them with me. How's it going? I'm not sure. Let me think. That's interesting. Can I ask you something? Do you feel how smooth they are? Each one is short, simple, and ready for real life. You don't need to think about each word, you just let it flow. Now, many learners ask, how can I collect chunks? The answer is, from everything around you. When you watch a movie, don't just write down new words. Write down the phrases. If the actor says, I'll get back to you, take that phrase. If a friend tells you, it doesn't matter, keep that chunk. When you listen to a podcast, when you read a book, when you talk with people, always notice the chunks. Chunks are everywhere, but you must collect them like treasures. Another important step is repetition. If you only see a chunk once, you will forget it. But if you repeat it, speak it, and use it in real life, it becomes part of you. For example, say you learn the chunk, that sounds great. Try using it in daily life. If someone suggests an idea, don't just say yes. Say, that sounds great. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes in your brain and mouth. Let's compare again. Knowing words versus knowing chunks. If you know only the word hungry, you may say, I hungry. It's wrong grammar, but people might still understand. But if you know the chunk, I'm really hungry, you sound fluent and natural. One chunk can save you from grammar mistakes, silence, and stress. Here's the big lesson. Fluency is not about knowing many words. Fluency is about knowing the right chunks. Native speakers don't think about every single word. They use pre-made phrases. That's why they speak fast and smoothly. And you can too, if you focus on chunks. So here's your challenge. Every day, collect 3 chunks. Just 3. Write them down, repeat them, and try to use them. In 1 month, you will have 90 powerful chunks ready to use. Imagine how much easier speaking will feel when you can just pull out ready-made sentences. Mistakes don't matter. Don't worry if your chunk is not perfect at first. The important thing is to start using it. Remember, fluent with mistakes is better than silent with grammar. And with chunks, you will make fewer mistakes anyway, because you are using correct expressions that real speakers use. So from now on, don't just learn words. Learn chunks. Speak in chunks. Think in chunks. And very soon, your English will feel smoother, faster, and more natural than you ever thought possible. Chapter 6. Daily Speaking Habits That Will Transform You. Now we come to the most important part of your English journey, your daily habits. Everything we have talked about, thinking in English, not being afraid of mistakes, training your mouth, and learning chunks, all of it comes alive only if you do it every day. Fluency is not built in one big moment. It is not something that happens after one perfect class or one special method. Fluency is built in small daily actions that seem simple, but over time, they change everything. Let me share with you a clear daily speaking plan that can transform your English voice, even if you only give 5 or 10 minutes each day. The first habit is talking to yourself in English. Yes, it sounds a little funny, but it works better than you think. Every time you are alone, describe what you are doing in English. For example, if you are cooking, say, I'm cutting the onion. Now I'm putting oil in the pan. If you are walking to work, say, the sun is bright, the street is busy. This habit trains your brain to stay in English, and it trains your mouth to speak without waiting for a partner. Many learners wait for the perfect speaking partner, but you don't need to wait. You can start speaking with yourself, and this is where fluency begins. The second habit is recording your voice. This is powerful because most learners never hear their own English. When you record yourself and then listen, you can notice two things: what sounds good and what needs practice. At first, it may feel strange or even embarrassing to listen to your own voice, but this is how real growth happens. Imagine a football player who never watches their match recordings. They would never see their mistakes or progress. By recording yourself, even just saying 1 or 2 sentences every day, you give yourself a mirror to grow from. The third habit is practicing with AI or language apps. We live in a time where you don't have to wait for a teacher or a native speaker. You can open an app or even talk with AI to practice. The important part is not perfection, but interaction. Every time you type and then speak, or every time you answer a question from an app, you are teaching your brain that English is a tool you use, not just a subject you study. The fourth habit I want to share is called the 4-3-2 method. This is a simple but powerful speaking exercise. Here's how it works. You take a topic, maybe what I did yesterday. You speak for 4 minutes about it. Then you speak again, same topic, but only 3 minutes. Finally, you speak again, but in only 2 minutes. Each time you retell the same story, your brain works faster, your sentences become smoother, and you feel more fluent. This exercise is famous among language teachers because it really pushes you to speak quicker and clearer without worrying too much about mistakes. The fifth daily habit is repeating chunks. Remember from the last chapter, chunks are ready-made pieces of language like, "That's a good idea," or "I'm not sure about that." The way to master them is simple. Repeat them every day until they feel natural. You can make a list of 10 chunks you want to use this week. Every morning or night, say them out loud 3 times each. Then try to use them during your self-talk or recordings. The more you repeat, the more your mouth learns the rhythm. Now, let me share a small motivational story, a spike to show you the power of these habits. There was a learner from Vietnam who told me his story. He was shy, he never spoke in class, and he thought he would never be fluent. But one day, he decided to practice every day, just 10 minutes. He spoke to himself, he recorded his voice, and he repeated chunks. At first, it felt silly, and he thought it was too little. But after 3 months, he noticed something amazing. When he spoke to a tourist in his city, the words came out faster. He didn't freeze. He didn't translate. He spoke. That moment gave him so much confidence, and now he practices every single day, even when he's tired. His English is not perfect, but it is alive. And this is the emotional truth. Fluency is not about speed. Fluency is not about being perfect or speaking without mistakes. Fluency is about consistency. If you practice every day, even just 5 minutes, your English voice will grow strong. Think about it like watering a plant. If you give water once a month, the plant will die. But if you give water every day, even just a little, the plant grows and becomes beautiful. Your English is the same. Daily speaking habits are like water for your English voice. So my message to you is simple but powerful. Don't wait for a miracle. Don't wait for the perfect teacher or the perfect moment. Start now, today, with these daily speaking habits. Talk to yourself. Record your voice. Use AI. Try the 4-3-2 method. Repeat chunks. Do it every day. Even if you are tired, even if you are busy, even if you don't feel ready, just speak. Because every time you speak, your English grows stronger. Your future self is waiting for you. The version of you who speaks English with confidence is already there. You just need to walk toward it, one small daily habit at a time. And when you look back, you will see that these simple daily moments were the steps that built your English voice. So, my friends, now you truly understand the reason why you can listen to English, read English, maybe even think in English. But when it comes to speaking, your voice feels locked inside. And now you also hold the key. The solution is not hidden anymore. It is in your hands, in your daily habits, and in the courage to open your mouth even when it feels scary. Don't just listen and smile. Don't just read and nod. Use your voice every single day. Speak to yourself. Speak to your phone. Speak to the mirror. Speak to the world. Even if you make mistakes, speak. Even if your pronunciation feels strange, speak. Even if your grammar is not perfect, speak. Because your future self, the fluent, confident version of you, is already waiting. And your English voice is waiting to be born. If this video gave you hope, if it gave you a plan, if it gave you even a little spark of courage, then I invite you to take one small action right now. Speak one English sentence today. Record it, write it in the comments, or whisper it to yourself before bed. That small action is your first step toward fluency. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your own English journey in the comments. I would love to hear your story. Every story matters, and your words may inspire another learner to keep going. This is your name, wishing you courage, practice, and progress. Remember, fluency is not about speed. It is about consistency. Keep speaking, keep believing, and your English voice will grow stronger every single day. I'll see you in the next video.